Okay, we're at the ActivMotion booth, and I am listening to a song with these headphones that aren't bone conduction, but they don't sit in the ear either. So what do we have here, Pascal?
Yes, we have a way to make your hands and ears free during communication. You are both communicating, and of course with the telephone.
And I can hear you. Yeah.
And you can hear me. And if you want to use your telephone, it's ready at hand and can be used and safely stored. The whole idea is to make you free.
Sure. And so what, this is using Bluetooth, I assume, between the phones?
Of course, it's a standard Bluetooth, works with all phones and all PCs.
And so what's the technology that actually allows me to hear?
It's a unique technology called extra sound, and we are the only one on Earth to use that. We've discovered a point in the ears that makes you vibrate and believe that the sound comes from everywhere around you.
Yeah, it does sound like it's everywhere. So the question is is this better than having something in your ear in terms of ear safety and that sort of thing?
Of course. In terms of comfort and hygiene, and
oh yeah,
and in terms of transparency and not hearing what's around. What I mean.
Yeah. So are these available today?
In Europe, we are here in Las Vegas to see how we can start to sell those abroad.
So are they, how much do you expect them to cost in the US?
We are looking for a retail price of $150.
Oh, okay, so not bad. Now, they're earphones only, no microphone?
Oh, of course there is a microphone.
I missed the microphone, okay.
No, these are not for listening to music. These are for
it's a total hands-free communications.
Home office, communication, yes.
So
communication.
How long will the battery last?
2 days.
2 days, that's wonderful.
That's wonderful. And if you're out of battery, you can recharge it during speech, which most of the devices today don't allow.
So you recharge it, do you have a wire or something to plug into it?
Yes, but I need to show it to you.
Ah, well, let's just walk over. Okay. Oh, he's gonna plug me in, it looks like. It's kind of scary. Oh, is it magnetic or something?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So you can use it while you're talking.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, that's great. Well, Pascal, I wish you luck as you bring this to the United States. And
thank you.
Thank you for running me down.
And visit us on the CES.